It was a big bombshell of a story to learn about President Trump's private confidential phone calls with world leaders. We had the Washington Post reporting on his conversation with the Prime Minister of Australia. It got confrontational over a previous agreement negotiated by the Obama administration for the U.S. to accept a couple thousand refugees. Trump did not like that. Trump said this was the worst call he'd had during the day. He talked to Vladimir Putin that day, and an hour-long call ended in 25 minutes. So it was made to sound like he hung up on Prime Minister Turnbull. And then the Associated Press actually getting a transcript, a partial transcript of a call with the president of Mexico, in which President Trump reported to have said that if Peña Nieto couldn't get the drug problem down there under control, well, Trump might just have to send in some U.S. troops to help him. What's really fascinating about this, what's really troubling about this, is the way in which these conversations were leaked. Now, sometimes administrations kind of put out, in order to make their president look good, some color or details about a conversation or a meeting with a foreign leader. But clearly, this was done to undermine the 45th president. This means that somebody, a person or persons within the White House, or perhaps more likely the State Department, that does not agree with the Trump foreign policy is giving reporters confidential information that really must make the president question whether he could have private conversation with other world leaders without having it leak. The whole idea was to embarrass Donald Trump. It probably worked. He addressed it the next day and said, don't worry about my tough conversations. I have to have tough conversations. And then he went off to attack as a dumb deal. This was on Twitter, of course, this refugee resettlement program that the Obama administration had reached with Australia, setting off shockwaves in Australia. So all of this says to me that there is a sort of a permanent resistance building within the federal bureaucracy to Donald Trump. Now, every new president has to sort of get hold of the bureaucracy, but this is truly unprecedented and kind of troubling when you think about how sensitive those conversations must be. And as in a kind of an addendum, we had the raid in Yemen, which was the planning for which was pretty advanced on the Obama administration. President Trump gave the final order, in which tragically a Navy SEAL was killed. And then you have unnamed U.S. military officials telling Reuters that President Trump should never have given the go-ahead, that he didn't have adequate intelligence or adequate military planning. There's always going to be second-guessing on this sort of thing. But again, it seems like a direct challenge to the president's authority. Now, I don't blame news organizations for publishing these stories if the sources are credible or you have a transcript, but this is going to be a problem because if Trump feels that he can't rely on the State Department, the Defense Department, or even maybe parts of his own White House to protect the confidentiality of his conversations or military planning sessions, then that probably will lead to more secrecy, which sometimes can be a problem. And it really kind of shows you how the opposition to this president, even within the government, even within the swamp that he has pledged to drain, how deep-rooted it is. We saw Secretary of State Rex Tillerson yesterday saying to his employees, even if you didn't want the outcome of the election to turn out the way it did, you need to get on the team and work with us. We'll have to see how that happens, but these leaks are a sign of something of a really deep resistance to this new president.